Hi, I'm Joe Bricko, Director of Sales at Range Systems. A real common question that we get here is, what do I need to build a shooting range? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through all the components that make up a typical indoor shooting range. The first component with the range is going to be the lane divider. The next is going to be your ballistic sidewall protections. This here is a safety ceiling, which is going to be directly above the shooter. And then you have your baffles, which is your overhead protections, and finally a bullet trap, the business end of a range, one of the most important components. And not seen here is going to be your target retrieval systems. I have those in a different video that you can find. We have 4 different options for lane dividers. The one featured here is going to be our ProView divider. The back end of the divider is going to be a rifle-rated ballistic glass. The nice part about the ballistic glass is it's going to provide open sight lines. So for a trainer that wants to be able to see what's still going on in the range, but still be protected, this is a great feature. Or if you have multiple shooters within, and the second shooter wants to have that open sight lines, that'll provide that. The front end of the divider is going to be a combination of our DuraPanel ballistic rubber, along with AR500 steel. The nice part about the DuraPanel is you get the sound reduction, and you get safe round encapsulation. So if you had an accidental discharge within that space, it's going to be safely captured within the DuraPanel. And then to add to that, DuraPanel is super durable, so it's going to last really a lifetime without getting beat up or dented or ripped or torn or something like that. Now the next component is going to be ballistic sidewall protections. Now this is our DuraPanel product as well, designed to encapsulate rounds. All of our standard DuraPanel will encapsulate up to 2,200 rounds. With the ballistic sidewall, you can put it the full length of the range. If you're in a real sound sensitive type of area and you wanted additional sound protection, you'd want to run that all the way down the sidewalls. As a standard, typically we do the first 20 feet. So the area of the range that you stand in is the highest risk area. That's where most of your sound is going to be, and that's where you have the highest risk of a accidental discharge. The next component is going to be a safety ceiling. You can see that this is suspended from a structure above. It comes in module sections, so they're 4x4 or 2x4 sections that are designed to bolt together to make up the full width of your range. What that's going to do is that's going to protect any mechanicals or any kind of accidental discharge at that line of fire from going out of the building. In addition to that, we have our baffles. Baffles are laid out in a way where rounds can't escape the building. So the layout is going to be different depending on the type of range you have. So if you have a fixed firing position range, that's what this layout would be. The baffles are going to be spaced. If you have a range that's called a dynamic or tactical type of range, the baffles will actually overlap. So there'll be more baffles in a dynamic type of range. Now you can see there's 2 different types of baffles here. You see one is at an angle and one is actually vertical. That's really to accommodate 2 different types of ceilings. So with the traditional suspended baffle, that's going to require a structure above that can handle the weight of that baffle. Normally you find this in new builds where the architect plans for that additional weight of those baffles, or you're into a space that has enough structure above. Now if you didn't have enough structure in the ceiling and you couldn't get there, it was too cost prohibitive to maybe take the ceiling off or add to the strength of the bar joists, you'd want to go with our vertical system there. Now the vertical system spans from a sidewall to a sidewall, so it's independent of the ceiling structure, which is really a great option. A lot of times this is the difference between being able to build a range or not build a range by utilizing that vertical bridging baffle system. We have 3 different types of bullet traps: the granular rubber trap, an encapsulator block trap, and we're going to cover the features and benefits of these traps in a different video. And then finally we have a steel trap. So the granular rubber trap has become the most commonly used bullet trap within a commercial range or an indoor range in general, really. So what makes up a granular rubber trap? The first and most important component within is actually the granular rubber. So Range Systems has a very unique size to this, so we source it to make sure that it doesn't have any fibers within or a limited amount of fibers, no steel belting. And then the size is very important. So what happens in a granular rubber trap is the bullets actually enter the granular rubber, they start to tumble, the energy comes out of the round, and the granular rubber is actually defeating the bullet. The benefits of that, you're not smashing lead at any point, so the lead isn't hitting any steel, so you're eliminating a lot of potential sound, and then you're also containing that bullet, and because you're not smashing it, you're reducing a lot of potential lead dust. So back to the sizing, it's very, very important that the sizing is around this 1 inch by 1 inch size. With that, you're providing some volume within that granular, so you actually have some capacity to hold enough bullets. If the granular chunks get too large within a granular rubber trap, you do run some risk of slow-moving bullets actually bouncing off of those granular rubber chunks. For example, if you skip a bullet off the sidewall or you skip a bullet off of the floor, a lot of that energy is stopped, and if the rubber chunks are too large, you run a risk of bouncing off of that. So sizing is very important. The other components that make up the trap is the framework of the granular rubber trap. So this bolts together on 4-foot sections, and then on top of that you'll have steel sheets that lay on top of the framework, and then again you have the depth of the granular rubber. Now this is a 7.62 rated trap, so with the 7.62 trap you have 18 inches of depth. Now the depth of the granular is what's stopping the bullet, so it's really important to maintain that granular depth. If somebody wanted a trap to shoot larger calibers such as a .338 Lapua or even up to a .50 caliber, we can customize a trap to have a deeper bed of granular. The last feature within the granular rubber trap is going to be our hopper. So the hopper is designed to provide extra granular, so it self-feeds. If you had a lot of migration or a lot of shooting during the day and some of that granular was moving, that's going to feed down naturally just by gravity, and it's going to maintain the depth of the granular rubber.